Ever get that feeling? You know, like when you warn someone about something and they just don't listen.
Oh, yeah.
And then bam, everything goes wrong, just like you said it would.
Yep.
And you're left there with that, well, you know.
I told you so.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
told you so. It's like a universal experience, isn't it? And wouldn't you know it, we actually have a song about it, I Told You So by Kurt Holes.
Ooh, this is a good one. I can already tell.
Yeah, you sent this in, and let me tell you, the lyrics are just, wow, packed with emotion. It's like, the singer's living it.
It's a scenario that's so relatable. Right. That feeling of frustration when your advice is completely ignored. And then, well, there's that sort of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of vindication when it turns out you were right all along.
Right. It's bittersweet, almost. But yeah, the song really dives into all those messy feelings, miscommunication, the ups and downs of relationships, and of course, that little voice in our heads that just wants to shout, I told you so!
It's so true.
So right off the bat, from that very first verse, you get this sense that the speaker, they can see what's coming, almost like a premonition.
Mhm.
They're waving their arms, practically begging the other person to pay attention, to be careful. But it's like the other person just isn't listening.
Yeah, it's like they're tuning it out completely.
And it's heartbreaking in a way, that feeling of helplessness. Like you can see the train wreck coming, but you can't do anything to stop it.
It's that feeling of inevitability. Like no matter what you say, it's not going to get through.
And then, boom, the lyrics just drop us right into the thick of it. Everything falls apart, just like the speaker knew it would.
And those warnings, the ones that were ignored, they just come flooding back. It's almost like they're inescapable at that point.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what really gets me? It's not just about being right. If you listen closely, you realize the speaker, they're hurting too. That line, now you're in need, it gets me every time. You can hear the pain in their voice.
It shows how complex these situations really are. The speaker might be frustrated that their advice was ignored, but they're also genuinely concerned for the other person's well-being.
And the chorus, oh man, the way it just hammers that phrase, I told you so, over and over, you can practically hear the frustration, the exasperation. But then there's this other layer, this undercurrent of sadness that just sneaks in.
Almost like they wish they hadn't been right. Like it would have been better if none of this had happened in the first place.
Exactly. It's like they'd trade being right for the other person's happiness in a heartbeat.
It's a really powerful message.
It is, and it kind of makes you think, how often do we find ourselves in those situations? Ignoring the warning signs, brushing off good advice.
All the time, probably.
Right. It's easy to do. And then on the flip side, how do we offer advice without sounding like a broken record or, this song?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about finding that balance between being assertive and being empathetic. We all need to be more open to hearing those difficult truths, even when they're tough to swallow.
For sure. And when we're giving advice, maybe a little bit of compassion can go a long way. It's not about saying, I told you so. It's about being there for each other,
Absolutely. Maybe this song, it's a good reminder for all of us. A reminder to listen a little more closely and to speak a little more kindly, especially when it's hard.
Well said.